The Tale of Two Tax Regimes, Part 1. India's 2025 Tax Reforms Explained. Taxes. A subject that often elicits the same enthusiasm as a root canal. Yet understanding the evolution of India's tax regimes is akin to unraveling a gripping saga filled with reforms, debates, and the perennial quest for that perfect balance between revenue and taxpayer satisfaction. The old regime, the grandfather of deductions. Once upon a time, in India, taxpayers navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the old tax regime. The system was generous with exemptions and deductions, allowing individuals to reduce their taxable income through investments in specified instruments, insurance premiums, housing loan interest, and more. It was a paradise for those who could afford savvy tax planners, but a maze for the uninitiated. The advent of the new regime, simplicity over sophistication. In 2020, the government introduced the new tax regime, a streamlined alternative that offered lower tax rates in exchange for foregoing most exemptions and deductions. The idea was to simplify taxation and make compliance easier. However, the initial reception was lukewarm, as many taxpayers clung to their beloved deductions like a child to a favorite toy. The players in the tax drama. Several stakeholders played pivotal roles in this fiscal transformation. The government, aiming to boost disposable incomes and stimulate economic growth, the administration sought to simplify the tax structure and encourage consumption. Taxpayers, from salaried employees to business professionals, individuals across the income spectrum stood to benefit from the rigid tax slabs and increased exemptions. Economists and policy analysts. These experts debated the potential impacts on savings rates, investment patterns, and overall economic health, adding depth to the discourse. In essence, the journey from the old regime to the revamped new regime post-2025 budget reflects India's ongoing endeavor to create a tax system that is equitable, efficient, and conducive to economic prosperity. And while taxes may never be a topic that sets hearts aflutter, understanding their evolution is crucial for every citizen navigating the fiscal landscape. Unpacking the fiscal makeover. A detailed dive into the 2025 tax reforms. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts as we embark on a thrilling expedition through the intricacies of India's tax reforms post the 2025 budget. Think of it as a treasure hunt, where the treasure is understanding how much of your hard-earned money stays in your pocket. The old regime, the familiar labyrinth. Under the old tax regime, taxpayers had the comfort of various exemptions and deductions to reduce their taxable income. The tax slabs remained unchanged, resembling a well-worn path through a dense forest. Up to Rs 2.5 lakh, nil Rs 250,001, Rs of lakh percent, Rs 500,001, Rs 10 lakh 20, above Rs is 10 lakh 30. This regime was like an all-you-can-eat buffet of deductions, tempting but requiring a strategic approach to get your money's worth. The new regime, the sleek expressway. The 2025 budget transformed the new tax regime into a streamlined expressway, aiming to make taxation as straightforward as ordering masala dosa. Key changes included: increased basic exemption limit. The tax-free income threshold was elevated from Rs 3 lakh to Rs 4 lakh, giving taxpayers more breathing room. Revised tax slabs. The income brackets were restructured to reduce the tax burden across various income levels. For instance, income up to Rs 12 lakh became tax-free, and a new 25% tax slab was introduced for incomes between Rs 20 lakh and Rs 24 lakh. Enhanced standard deduction. Salaried individuals now enjoy a standard deduction of Rs 75,000, up from Rs 50,000, further reducing taxable income. A side-by-side comparison, old versus new. To visualize the transformation, let's juxtapose the tax slabs of both regimes. Old tax regime, up to Rs 2.5 lakh, nil Rs 250,001, Rs lakh 5%, Rs 500,001, Rs 10 lakh, 20% above Rs 10 lakh, 30%. New tax regime, post 2025 budget. Up to Rs 4 lakh, nil Rs 400,001, Rs 8 lakh, 5% Rs 800,001, Rs 12 lakh, 10% Rs 1200,001, Rs 16 lakh, 15% Rs 16 100,000 one, Rs 20 lakh, 20% Rs 100,000 one, Rs 4 lakh, P% above Rs 4 lakh, 30%. The choice conundrum: to deduct or not to deduct. Under the old regime, taxpayers could avail themselves of various deductions and exemptions such as Section 80C, investments in specified instruments, e.g. PPF, LIC up to Rs 1.5 lakh. Section 80D, health insurance premiums, house rent allowance, HRA, for salaried individuals living in rented accommodation. The new regime, in its quest for simplicity, does away with most deductions and exemptions. It's akin to choosing between a thali meal with numerous dishes, old regime, and a fixed menu with fewer choices but quicker service, new regime. The bottom line: the 2025 budget's tax reforms aim to simplify the tax structure and reduce the tax burden for a broad spectrum of taxpayers. By increasing the basic exemption limit and restructuring the tax slabs, the government seeks to put more money into the hands of the people, hoping they'll spend it and give the economy a much-needed boost. In the next segment, we'll delve into the advantages and disadvantages of these changes, examining their impact on both the individual taxpayer and the broader economy. So, stay tuned as we continue our fiscal adventure. The fiscal seesaw, weighing the pros and cons of India's 2025 tax reforms. Ladies and gentlemen, gather around as we dissect the 2025 tax reforms with the precision of a surgeon and the flair of a stand-up comedian. We'll explore the advantages and disadvantages on both macro and micro scales, and unveil how these changes impact taxpayers across various income slabs. So, grab your calculators and let's dive in. Advantages, the silver linings. Macro scale, stimulated consumption. By increasing disposable income, especially among the middle class, the reforms are expected to boost consumer spending, acting as a catalyst for economic growth. Simplified tax structure. The new regime's straightforward slabs and reduced exemptions aim to make tax compliance easier, potentially increasing the tax base and reducing administrative burdens. Encouraged investment. With more money in hand, individuals may channel funds into investments, fostering capital formation and long-term economic stability. Micro scale, increased take-home pay. Taxpayers, particularly those earning up to Rs 12 lakh annually, now enjoy zero income tax liability, effectively boosting their net income. Reduced tax rates. The restructuring of tax slabs means lower rates for many, translating to immediate financial relief across various income levels. Higher standard deduction. Salaried individuals benefit from an increased standard deduction, simplifying tax calculations and offering additional savings. Disadvantages, the cloudy undersides. Macro scale, revenue. Shortfall. The government anticipates a significant reduction in tax revenue, potentially leading to budgetary constraints and affecting public expenditure. Inflationary pressures. Increased disposable income could lead to higher demand for goods and services, potentially driving up prices and fueling inflation. Savings rate impact. With fewer incentives for tax-saving investments, there might be a decline in the national savings rate, affecting funds available for infrastructure and development projects. Microscale, loss of deductions. Taxpayers accustomed to various exemptions may find the new regime less beneficial, especially if their deductions previously exceeded the benefits of the new slabs. Decision dilemma. Individuals now face the annual task of choosing between the old and new regimes, adding a layer of complexity to tax planning. Behavioral shift. The reduced emphasis on tax-saving instruments might discourage disciplined financial planning, impacting long-term financial security for some taxpayers. Impact on taxpayers across income slabs. Up to Rs 4 lakh old regime, no tax liability due to the basic exemption limit. New regime similarly no tax liability, maintaining parity for low-income earners. Rs 4 lakh, Rs 8 lakh. Old regime taxable at 5% beyond Rs 2.5 lakh, with potential deductions reducing liability. New regime taxed at 5% beyond Rs 4 lakh, offering straightforward calculations and potential tax savings without the need for deductions. RS 8 lakh, RS 12 lakh, old regime, taxed at 20% beyond RS 5 lakh, with deductions playing a significant role in reducing liability. New regime, tax-free, up to RS 12 lakh, providing substantial relief and simplifying tax planning. RS 12 lakh, RS 16 lakh, old regime, continues at 20% for this bracket, with deductions influencing the effective tax rate. New regime, taxed at 15 or beyond RS 12 lakh, offering a lower rate compared to the old regime's 20%, resulting in tax savings. RS 16 lakh, RS 20 lakh, old regime, taxed at 30% beyond RS 10 lakh, with deductions mitigating some liability. New regime, tax it at 20% beyond RS 16 lakh, providing a more favorable rate than the old regime. RS 20 lakh, RS 24 lakh, old regime, remains at 30%, with deductions offering limited relief. New regime introduces a 25% slab for this bracket, slightly reducing the tax burden compared to the old regime. Old regime, consistently taxed at 30% with marginal benefits from deductions. New regime maintains the 30% rate, aligning with the old regime, but benefits from a simplified structure. In summary, the 2025 tax reforms present a mixed bag of opportunities and challenges. While many taxpayers stand to gain from reduced rates and simplified compliance, others may miss the comfort of their cherished deductions. As with any fiscal policy, the true impact will unfold over time, influenced by individual financial behaviors and broader economic dynamics. Look out for part 2 to know about the after effects and implications, both big and small, due to this decision.